This podcast is sponsored by Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it is the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. Free free. There's also creation tools that allows you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will then distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more platforms. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. I actually use Anchor for this podcast, and it has saved me a lot of time and energy because everything is consolidated in one place. It just makes it so much easier. So if you're interested in doing the same thing, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Once again, you can download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Hey y'all, my name is Christian. I'm a millennial, and this is the Millennial Mind. Millennials get a bad rap for being lazy, non-productive members of society. They are also told that their opinions are warped and that they don't matter. This podcast is designed to express an opinion, but from a millennial's perspective. We will talk about everything from love and relationships to pop culture to pretty much everything that comes to mind. Come join me on this journey of speaking my mind, and I hope that all of you are speaking your mind as well. Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of The Millennial Mind. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey of speaking my mind, and I hope that all of you are speaking your minds as well. Okay, a few announcements, or maybe a couple announcements. One, if you have not read my blog, what are you waiting for? It's called What Makes You So Special. And it's basically a lifestyle blog and basically a blog about what I'm doing in life, which is the definition of lifestyle. But you get what I'm saying. In my most latest post, I talk about my experience with the COVID-19 vaccine. So if you haven't read that, go on over to christianfuller.com/blog and take a read. Not take a read, but make sure that you read that post. Especially if you're considering whether or not to get the vaccine, this may be one of the posts you want to read. So make sure you go to christianfuller.com/blog and look into that. Also, if you haven't been listening to Live and in Color on every Monday night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, what are you doing with your life? Okay, what are you doing? This is a live that I do every Monday with my good friend Renee B. Renee. She was on season 1 of this podcast. And we basically have girl chat. So we chat about everything from life, love, the pursuit of happiness, relationships, pop culture, anything that you could think of. We are on Instagram. So we do Instagram live every Monday. This past Monday, we were on Facebook because Instagram wasn't cooperating too much. So I'm going to correspond with her and see if we're going to do every other week Facebook. And then if so, I'll let you guys know. But for now, we are primarily on Instagram. So every Monday night, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, tune in to Live and in Color, and that is on RBR Blogs page on Instagram. Okay, church announcements, check. Now let's get into today's episode. I was on Facebook today, or actually not today, it was a few days ago actually. And one of my cousins, she posted a video on Facebook where she was talking to her husband about the situation that she was having with one of her children and how she feels at times that sometimes she can be more stricter than others, and she was kind of doubting her ability as a mother. And her husband, who was also my cousin, said something pretty profound, and I wanted to share it with you guys. He said, "Don't take resistance as a sign that you're not progressing." I'm going to say that again. Do not take resistance as a sign that you are not progressing. When I heard that, I was like, whoa, let's dissect that for a minute. How many times have we've gone through life and had this dream or goal that we knew that we were called to do or called to be a part of? And because we were met with some kind of obstacle or some kind of resistance, we felt like we weren't progressing, or we felt like this wasn't where God called for us to be. I know I have, as an attorney, and especially as a newer attorney. And let me just back up a little bit. As a newer attorney, you don't know anything, okay? You go to law school, you learn the basics, you learn like theories and philosophies about how the law came to be what it is today. But graduating law school, I couldn't represent the client. Absolutely not. I did not have the capability of doing so because I knew nothing. So when I got my first job, it was a culture shock for me because it was so much information that was being thrown at me. And because it was a culture shock and because it was a newer experience, I made plenty of mistakes. I always used to pray to I used to pray to God all the time. Like, Lord, you know I don't want to mess up anybody's life. I don't. I don't want to mess up anybody's life on purpose or on accident. Okay. So Lord, help whatever mistakes that I'm making, help them not to be so catastrophic where there's like no return. And I have to say the Lord did bless where any mistakes that I made, they were not catastrophic. Okay. But anyway, even though I will pray that prayer, the mistakes that I made, I still would think in my head, like, oh, I'm not called to be an attorney. I'm a terrible attorney. I don't know why I went through law school. I don't know why I did this to myself, why I'm doing this to these people. They don't like me. They're asking for my boss all of the time. Maybe this isn't where God called me to be. But the only thing I was being hit with was resistance. And that resistance was basically growing pains. Growing pains of learning something new, adjusting to a new environment. Like I was saying before, learning new things, getting adjusted to being an attorney representing clients. Of course, if you come into a situation and you don't know anything, you're going to make plenty of mistakes. That's part of learning. Failure is critical to learning. So I'm not sure why I didn't make that connection. I just felt like I shouldn't have to make any mistakes, which was that was setting myself up for disaster. But anyway, that resistance that I was experiencing was growing pains. But that didn't mean that I was progressing. Those growing pains that I was experiencing, it was helping me to learn and to learn more and to learn more. And I was building on top of each mistake that I made. And it was just so critical for my growth as an attorney. And I eventually became an attorney that was able to handle things not only on my own, but was able to assist my boss wherever needed. And she trusted my input on various things. So that just comes to show you that just because you're being hit with some kind of obstacle on this road of life or on the road to whatever goal that you have in mind, you're still progressing. It's like a road trip. Like if you go on the road, there's most likely going to be like some kind of pothole, some kind of obstacle in the way that's going to try to prevent you to get to your destination. But that doesn't mean that you're not going to get there. Sure, it may take you a little bit longer. Sure, you may have to navigate yourself around this obstacle, try to figure out a way around this resistance, but you're still going to make it to your destination. You're still progressing. And that's all that this quote is saying. Like, no matter how much resistance that you get, you're still progressing. You're still moving forward. You're not moving backwards. Any mistakes that you made, any failures that you may have is only a building block to where God is trying to get you to go. And I just wanted to encourage you guys with that because that really encouraged me, because we kind of see resistance as like a bad thing or failures as a bad thing, when really it's needed and it's a building block to get you to where you need to go. So stay encouraged, you guys. Um, don't get down about any failures or any mistakes that you may make. It's only pruning you for the person that you are called to be. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. What kind of resistance have you guys been met with on this road of life? Let me know in the comments, or you can send me an email at mindofmillennials@gmail.com. Make sure to like our Facebook page and our Instagram page. I don't have a quote for you guys because that was my quote. So I guess I'll say the quote again because I feel like it just really needs to be repeated until we get it. So once again, do not take resistance as a sign that you are not progressing. So take that into your life, hold on to that information, and keep progressing to what God has called you to be. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. And until next week, I will talk to you guys soon.